Okay, you're at the Watchmen Way, February 15th, 2020. Quick announcement. I am trying to get out of Vallejo by early next week. And I'm looking for a cheap car. Anybody in Northern California? No, $1,000 just something to get me by for a couple of months. So, um, anybody message me if you know of anything that's close. I might be able to look at. Um, like I say, doesn't have to be anything fancy, just to get me around for a couple of months. Um, Blomberg is talking about Hillary as his VP running mate. Um, First of all, Hillary's going to be in prison no matter what before the 2020 election. And I don't think Blomberg's that stupid because they would do the same thing to him that they've been trying to do to POTUS with Pence as VP. So Pence can take over. And Pence is a rat, by the way. He's a deep stater. He's going to go down with the swamp. I don't think he's that stupid. I think it's more of a distraction again. They're the the swamp, deep state, the black hats are trying to push the theory that President Trump wouldn't be able to arrest anybody that's running for office because that would be interfering. Listen, there's nothing in the law that says that if somebody's running for office, you can't arrest them. That's asinine. Now, if it's something that's, a misdemeanor, I doubt that they would want to go that route because it could look politically motivated, correct? I mean, if it was a small crime. We're talking about treason and murder. There's no way POTUS or God is going to allow these people to skate for another 6 months because they're running for office. And I've been saying this for a year now, that all of these guys would run for office because they're going to try and use that angle, but it's not going to fly, especially if they do it. Now, they can't wait until August or September. That's not going to work. And there's no reason to go that long. I've been saying, listen, they've got everything they need to do this tomorrow, except for the variables that we're not 100% sure on, things like the threats, the deep state threats, the black hat threats, the globalist threats. What do they have left in their arsenal? I don't think there's much. I think this coronavirus was the last thing. And now, lo and behold, and listen, guys, China, just the timing of this with, I think, the swamp about ready to drain, this economy, I've said this a year ago, the perfect scenario is for the economy to collapse first and then take down the swamp and then the pedophiles. That way, listen, when the economy goes down and people have a few days to think about what that means and probably that martial law is going to be declared, it's going to be serious, then when they start arresting these people, there's not going to be much of an uproar because people are going to be more worried about getting food on the table than they are going to be worried about Obama or Clinton being arrested, and especially when they see the charges. So that's the way things should happen. And I think they're using, and I still think, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 85, 90% sure that there is a unified effort going on between the powers, Russia, China, USA. And that's a good thing, guys. We want to be on the same page. President Trump is not a Russian rat. He's not a traitor. Uh, the deep state can't have them together. Listen, Putin threw Rothschild and the central bank out of Russia. To the countries in the Middle East that threw the central banks out, all 7 of those countries were overthrown. Deep state operation. That was what the Arab Spring was all about. And then it also allowed them to create the Muslim refugee problem, which is destroying the EU right now. EU is going to have it tougher probably than anybody this next 6 months or year. They've got the most volatile situation because they've got a really pissed off population and Muslims that are rioting and burning churches. That's a recipe for a civil war, and I think that might be coming. If they can overtake their governments, and it could go a couple of different ways. There actually could be violent overthrows, I think, in Europe of governments. The people are fed up, and they're not going to take this shit anymore. So, Germany, I think, is prime. France is prime. Belgium is prime. The Netherlands, I mean, probably half the countries in the EU could revolt when this goes down. Because the people are fed up around the world. You know, you're not seeing it on the mainstream news. You're not going to see this on CNN. But you go and do your homework on the private guys that are reporting the news around the world. It's falling apart out there, guys. I mean, there's civil unrest in, I don't know, maybe close to 20 countries around the world right now. And it's getting worse. You know, it's upwelling. It's spreading. It's growing. This is all part. This whole thing is connected, guys. What happened here, what happened in the UK, the EU, what's happening in Germany. There is an awakening, an ascension, but it's earth-changing, world-changing. And then on top of this, you know, the economies, the pedophiles all coming out, all at the same time. This is biblical stuff, guys. It's hard to put into words the things that God has showed me. But and words can't do my words can't do it justice to how great the world is going to be that we are creating right now. Within 5 years, hopefully within 2. If we're lucky, 1 maybe. You know, we're going to have a rough patch here, I think. But I think I'm seeing more and more God's interventions around the world. I think that the places I thought were going to be really bad, like the EU, might be tempered. I'm not sure exactly how. It possibly is going to have to do with, I think, the governments, you know, basically getting rid of the globalist. That's the answer to our problem, is globalism has to be eradicated along with the satanic pedophiles because they go hand in hand. Where you've got one, you've got the other. And it's not a coincidence. They're the same people. And they're monsters. This is going to be one of the most horrific horror stories ever told, and one of the greatest overall stories told about well, it's going to be the ultimate story of good defeating evil. Because this is Armageddon that we're in the middle of right now. This is how it was laid out, guys. If Hillary Clinton won, the globalist plan was, and Obama was right along with it because he told POTUS that his biggest threat was going to be North Korea. They were setting it up for the nuclear war. That was the plan. Hillary gets elected, they're going to get a nuclear war started with North Korea. That the CIA was developing the North Korea, deep state CIA, their nuclear program. Kim didn't even know where all the bases were. The deal was they were just giving him the money he needed to keep the thing floating. And their deal was they got to do whatever they wanted, wherever they wanted. No questions asked. So there were bases all over. That big explosion they had, I don't know, a couple of years ago now, that was a deep underground base that the White Hats destroyed. That has been going on around the world for the last 3 years. Behind the scenes, actual wars, most of them underground. You've heard about all these reports about the explosions, those earthquakes in California, China Lake, the 4th and the 5th of July, those weren't earthquakes. Those were deep underground explosions when they were cleaning out a base there. And that all lines up with what Q said and 107 that the new revolution started on the 4th of July. And then we had that explosion on the 4th. And then another one the next day. I knew it was fishy when it happened. I've lived in California my whole life. I know earthquakes. I've been in all the big ones here in the last 64 years. They will never say that there's going to be an earthquake for sure. But they did that day. I saw on the news myself them announce that they're getting reports from whoever that there's going to be another one within 24 hours and it's going to be big. It wasn't, we have to be prepared. It was, no, there's going to be another one within 24 hours and it's going to be bigger. And there was another one within 24 hours and it was bigger. Come on. You can't do it. You just don't know. But that was one time they were exactly right. Because they knew it was coming. They knew it wasn't an earthquake. I think they were mini nukes, is what they were. We're going to find out. Guys, there is an underground, I think both rail system and highway system across the whole United States. There are machines that dig miles of tunnel a day, clean it out like it's smooth walls. They're crisscrossed the United States underground, guys. They all come up, a lot of them come up under Walmarts or close to Walmarts. Can't make this stuff up, guys. It's all real and it's all going to be exposed. You know, I keep hearing these people talk about, you know, and it's making me tear my hair out and I can't afford to lose any more hair, guys. About, you know, why isn't this happening? Or, you know, it's like the Second Amendment. There's garbage in Virginia and the impeachment and the censorship. They're all distractions. Every single issue that has to deal with a constitutional violation will be addressed before the end of President Trump's second term. Quit worrying about the stuff that it's not going to affect us in the next 12 months. Focus on what's important, guys. You know, we were talking earlier today about a new program that we're fleshing out, and something that we want to do is like a pay it forward type of deal. That maybe because of what we're doing right now, we're not spending a lot of time or money on it, because we know that. And here's how I look at this, guys. I used to do a lot more as far as donations and things like that. We used to take food to the homeless in town. We try to do it, once a month at least. But we've cut back on that because it's not cheap to do. And my philosophy right now is every dime that I can put into Litecoin or silver is going to be multiplied ridiculously with the returns on investment that are then going to go and do 100 times more good. So we have to think this way strategically, how we can do the most good. So what I'm going to suggest is that if it's not going to cost a lot of time or money, that you think about some ways, and go to Lisa. I think we've got it on the watchmanway.com. But our main focus still has to be red pilling and preparing. Because there's, again, guys, we have to lead by example. So we don't want to get sidetracked on something that's not making our effort. I look at it the same way as I look at the monetary investments, guys. The investments of time. We've got to see a return on that, right? And we have to think the same way we think about our money. We have to think about our time and how we spend it doing good. And I have thought about this day and night. I'm always thinking about this. How do we spend our time in the most valuable ways? What do we need to do? What are the most important things? And I'm still waiting for somebody to give me something more important than getting people red-pilled and prepared, because there is nothing more important. So that needs to be our first focus. But we have some trickle down time or money. Maybe we can do some of these things, but don't let it take away from where our main objective is. And that hasn't changed since day one. Wake up, red pill, and prepare. Extra water, food, medical supplies, ammo, physical silver, and Litecoin are the basics. You adjust that based on your own needs and skill set by going to other prepping sites. Because, guys, we're not a prepping site. We're Watchmen. Our job is to warn. We're not, I'm not a news guy. That's not my job. A news guy is only going to report facts, and he's going to provide, hopefully, evidence to back it up. If you want to go on the dark web, you can see the evidence on Hillary Clinton. I don't have a copy of the video. But I know it's out there. My job is to warn you about this stuff. You're not going to get a lot of evidence. I'll point you in the right direction if I know off the top of my head, but I'm not going to go spend an hour digging it up for you. Everybody has a responsibility. Everybody should be spending a couple hours a day researching this. Get away from the mainstream media. Quit watching any of it. San Francisco was in the Super Bowl this year, and I watched the last 50-something seconds of the game. That's what I watched. Was San Francisco playing? I've been a huge San Francisco fan all my life until I started this. I think I watched a quarter of football all year long, college and pros. I can't do it anymore. Because to me, that's wasted time. Because I understand that if I spend 5 more minutes doing this every day, I might get one more person. And I'm going to change not just that person's life, but everybody in that guy's family. Lives are going to be changed by the things they learn here. There has never been a time in history where a single person can impact so many people in so many different ways as what we have right in front of us right now. If you want to be a better person, if you want to lead a better life, if you want to live your life in the service of others, you will never find an opportunity in your life like we have here right now. Ever. We have already impacted thousands over the last 5 years. And it's like, I mean, we're getting hundreds, I think, a month now. It's been amazing. And it just keeps growing. It's getting busier and busier every day. I'm spending almost all day on the phone. I don't have any time to, I'm only spending, I used to spend 16 to 20 hours a day doing research. And now, and of course, I've tried to back off a little bit just because I need a little bit of a rest. But, I'm only doing a couple hours a day now. And it's not really important because as we move forward through this process, there's more being reported by everybody else. So again, for us, it's just a matter of beating that drum and making sure that we get as many people as we can. I mean, that is the objective of the Watchmen at this point. And of course, we know that we now have the responsibility of laying the foundation of the revival of God's church, which is the church that Jesus taught 2,000 years ago when he was here, called the Way. He called it the Way. The way you live your life, the way you get to heaven. Tell the truth. Do the right thing. Live your life in the service of others. Treat other people with respect. It's about, and the way this was, the reason this was never adopted was because the elite couldn't control it. No priest, no pope, no buildings. We meet in each other's homes, in parks, in barns. We're mostly meeting to do good, to build a house, to paint a house, to put on a roof, to do gardening for the elderly or the people that can't afford it. There are thousands of ways that we're going to be able to help people. And the Watchmen are going to kind of act as a conduit between people who have ideas and maybe not the resources. Because I believe, and we've said from day one, guys, that, God showed me several things. First ever worldwide economic collapse, the draining of the swamp, the exposure of the worldwide pedophile rings, physical silver, and Litecoin as ways to protect ourselves from what's coming with the economic losses. As part of that, we're to take a portion of our proceeds, our profits, and pay it forward. Well, 3 weeks ago now, God came to me again and said, he clarified that. We're not just paying it forward. We're paying it forward, building the foundation of the way. There's no religion in the world that's as pure as the way. Our donations don't go somewhere else. We put them directly in the hands of the needy. You can't knock this. And God wants it ready, and it is ready to fill the void left by the Catholic Church when it collapses this year. Pope's going to resign in 2020. He's going to make a statement that half the priest right now in the Catholic Church are pedophiles. The Catholic Church comes down this year, and the way is going to be there to pick up the pieces. Because there's going to be hundreds of millions of Catholics looking for a new home, looking for answers, looking for comfort, and they will find it through the way. God says this is going to be the biggest religion in 20 years. This is going to catch fire, guys. And it starts, well, I can already see it starting. But just wait until the swamp drains and the economy collapses. It's going to explode. And then the pedophilia. You don't think people are going to be looking to God? Trust me. And then you got people looking to God as the Catholic Church is coming down. The way is going to explode. The way will be the biggest religion in the world. You want to be a better person? You want to live a better life? You're at the right place. Okay. Coronavirus. Now, people are having heart attacks because their heart tissue is being weakened by the medications they're getting. Does this sound like a Bill Gates type deal? Can't make this up, guys. In Zero Hedge today, they had another article on the virus. I think it's 95% that, I mean, they have the patent. They think it came from a lab in China. This is orchestrated, guys. And it's having the desired effect. I mean, China is a ghost town. I mean, the traffic, usually the streets in China are chock full, bumper to bumper. They're empty. They're using 4 million barrels a day less in China right now. It's tanking the oil prices, which are tanking the economy. Plus, you have tankers backed up in the Pacific. Because of everything stopped in China. So there's a traffic jam, nothing's shipping, no trucks are moving. And China's broke. Worst economy they've had in the last 50 years. What do you think's going to happen next? China goes down, the whole world goes down, guys. And I don't see, I think it's probably too far gone already. I think if it started up on Monday, again, full steam, it's too late. A country that big, that's that in debt, can't afford to go a month with no GDP. And that's basically what's going to happen. At least a month. They're going to have close to a zero GDP. Nothing's moving. Yeah, what's happening these last few weeks, we're going to see the results over the next couple of weeks. I don't think it's going to be pretty. So do not procrastinate. We got a little bit of a dip in Litecoin today. Take advantage of that if you can. But don't procrastinate. This Tuesday, I think, is going to be a big day to be looking, to be watching. Monday night, I will, keep an eye on the futures, and I'll talk about it Monday night, because if it's going to go down on Tuesday, we would expect to see the futures markets really drop on Monday night. They open, I think, at 3 Pacific time, the futures markets. So, by 5, by the chat, I'll have an idea at least the stock market. And that doesn't mean that it won't go down, later in the night, because you really start to see the bigger drops like after midnight, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, as you start to see it ramp up as it starts to drop off, right? When they're going to have a bad day. So it's not a exact indicator Monday night, but it'll give us a little bit better idea maybe. We definitely want to keep an eye on it. And then we go on and watch the stock market on Tuesday, for sure, to see what happens. And we need to keep an eye on what's going on in China. A lot going on, guys. A lot of people whining and complaining about how long it's taking. The last thing in the world I want to hear is a newbie who's been doing this for 3 months complain that it's taking too long. Send that person to me. I will get them lined out real quick. Most of us now have been around at least a couple of years. The Watchmen, the members. This is going to happen on God's time. God's going to decide when this is going to happen. And we thank him every day that he gives us, because every day that he gives us, we're going to wake up somebody new. That's how we handle this. I don't want to hear any whining about it. Listen, trust me. I've wanted this for a lot longer than you guys have. But the one thing I had to come to terms with, especially after my stroke, is we can't control this. Nothing we can do is going to make this come any quicker. What we can control is how many people we have ready for what's coming. Focus on that. Quit focusing on the crap. The impeachment, the gun grab that's bullshit, the censorship. They're distractions. They're trying to keep you off of Epstein and the pedophilia and FISA and Uranium One. Everything that's going to take them down. That's what they're trying to distract you from. Don't fall for it. If you're posting about this crap, you're playing right into their hands. And it's time away from waking somebody up. Focus on that. Red pilling and preparing. It's simple. Stick to it. It's working, guys. And trust me, it's going to pay big dividends. This is getting to the point now where we're impacting so many people. This is going to change the course of American history. This has what we are doing. What the Watchmen are doing right now is going to create such a vast improvement in our financial situation. We're talking about thousands of people that could profit millions, some of us maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars. I know those numbers sound crazy, but trust me, they're true. Don't be an idiot. Don't miss the boat. These are gifts from God. God wants his people to control the financial systems in the new world. That's why he showed me these things. I get people all the time, well, what about this coin? Or what about that coin? Are you a Christian? Do you believe in God? 100% of my liquid assets are in physical silver and Litecoin. That should be enough for you. And I've got more research, multiple times more research than anybody else around here. Anybody else I know of in the last 5 years. So it's not just God. I didn't do this blindly. I did my homework. And the more homework I've done, reinforces what God showed me, multiplies what God showed me. Greatest transfer of wealth in human history. Man's greatest accomplishment, overthrowing this evil in the world. We're going to remove 90% of the evil in the world. At the same time, the way is exploding around the world. Do you think we're going to have a better place to live? You think we might lose fewer than 800,000 kids a year in the future? Let's see what that number is in 2 years. I'm going to bet you it plummets. It's going to go down 90%. 90%. Because we're removing the problem. Eradicating the problem. These people will be executed or spend the rest of their lives in jail. I'm talking about the pedophiles. Anybody guilty of treason or murder, they're done. I think they're going to execute them all. I really don't care. I mean, I was kind of vengeful at first. I'm over it. They need to be removed. You know, whatever they decide, I'm good with. Get them off the streets for the rest of their lives. That's all I care about. They can't be a part of this. We can't allow them to be a part. And that's the other thing, guys. The Watchmen will continue on forever. Because not only are we going to be promoting the way, but we're also going to continue our roles on the wall, watching to make sure that this never happens again. This is really our fault. We let this happen. I mean, I knew this in 1967, that the government was corrupt and the Catholic Church was corrupt. I never thought I'd see this day. We should be celebrating in the streets. There should be no fear about what's coming. Man's greatest age. Heaven on earth. 1,000 years of peace and prosperity. That's what's coming. It's going to be beyond your wildest dream. The closest thing to heaven we could ever get on earth is coming. We're this close. And it's basically over, guys. It's just a matter of when the timing is right to start the takedown. And then it's going to be all, you know, to me, I've said there's going to be two finish lines. The first finish line is when they arrest Obama or Clinton. That's going to be the signal, okay, this is really happening. And all those idiots who said that nobody's ever going to get arrested are going to have to zip it. And it's going to show the world that the rule of law means something in America again. I don't know. How does it get any better? You know, it sounds scary to people when you say, "Oh yeah, they're going to arrest former presidents, secretaries of state." Most of the Obama and the Bush administrations are going to go down. It's not scary. It's what we need to happen. It's going to make the world a better place. We're going to finally have the world that God intended for us. And we're going to have the country that our founders intended. That's where we're headed. Point out the bad part. You know, it's the lack of knowledge that's causing the fear. If they saw what I see, there would be no fear. Trust me, guys. Listen, there always could be a situation where you get caught in a crossfire. You live in a city and, you know, you've got to be out for whatever reason and a riot breaks out. I mean, people die every day. That can happen. But looking at the big picture, I see nothing in America for sure that's even going to cause thousands of deaths, let alone the millions. And if this nuclear war option happened, hundreds of millions of people were going to die around the world. They were going to get close to their goal of 500 million people by 2030. Because that's what they wanted. That's the globalist agenda. It's on the UN website. They want to go from 7.5 billion people in the world to 500 million. They want to lose 7 billion people in 10 years. And with a nuclear war, they would have got close. Because then they were just going to destroy the whole world. You know, they take America down and then they ran the show. So, anyway, guys, there's nothing to be worried about. It's all good. And that's the way we have to present this. Because we've got to beware of the cognitive dissonance. You've got to be looking for it. You'll see it in their eyes. They'll just kind of go blank on you. It's like a computer buffering, right? They just can't absorb the information because it contradicts what they really believe, right? What they believed most of them their whole lives. You know, I've got a new guy now. He's having a hard time with pedophilia. Now, how could this be going on with our leaders? Well, it is. You know, how it's going on is because these monsters have been around for thousands of years. And they're the people, they're the elite, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Pessours. They've been doing it. I mean, every war the last 300 years, every terrorist attack, all caused by these people. They're going down. Rockefellers, Pessours, Rothschilds, they're going down with the pedophiles. All that wealth that they've stolen, it says in the Bible, anything taken will be returned to you sevenfold. That's where these numbers are coming from, guys. There have been trillions, maybe hundreds of trillions stolen from America over the last 100 years. Going to be returned to us sevenfold in a year. If you've got physical silver and Litecoin, you're going to get a part of that bounty, that gift from God. Don't miss the boat. You'll regret it for the rest of your life. I've told this story before, but it's really appropriate right now. My ex-father-in-law, great guy, was a colonel in the Marines, fought in the Second World War, was a hero, came back and he had a master's in education and went to work for the LA school district back in the 40s when he got out of the war. He was actually working in purchasing for the school district when Ray Kroc from McDonald's was selling milkshake machines. So he'd come by every month or so. He got to know Ray Kroc. Well, when Ray Kroc was negotiating to buy the McDonald's franchise, he came to my father-in-law. $1,500. He could have been on the ground floor. And he had the money. And he passed. He'd have been close to a billionaire by the time I got to know him if he would have done that back in the, I think it was the early 50s that this was going on. He regretted it. He must have told me that story 100 times. And you could see the disappointment. I mean, it was his biggest regret. You know, the opportunity that you get one shot at these things, guys. And what we are in right now, this isn't once in a lifetime. This isn't once in the history of mankind. This has never happened before. It's never going to happen again. And we are here now. Can I make it any more clear? Don't miss the boat. Don't do this to your families. Because by doing this, maybe they're going to make it, but I can tell you, the people that are prepared are going to thrive through this. The ones that aren't are probably going to suffer. I think President Trump's on top of this for America. I don't think anybody's going to starve to death, but you might go without food for a while. Why put your family through that? Be prepared. It's not that hard. Okay, what do we got for questions today? Libby, how you doing? David, Tessie. Good job, Tessie. Keep doing your research. Cheryl, how you doing? James, what's up? Oh, listen. Mainstream, Cheryl's asking if some of the mainstream media will be arrested, and the answer is 100% yes. Jake Tapper, Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon have all been to Pedo Island, guaranteed video footage to follow. They're probably going to be executed. You can bet that anybody who's been to Pedo Island is going to be up for a possible execution. It's not an accident that it's been probably 3 months ago now, that Barr reinstated the federal death penalty for murder. It's not a coincidence. They were looking at exactly these crimes that they're going to be addressing. So that they'll be able, that you tortured a murdered child, you're probably going to get executed. And in a military tribunal, there's no appeal. The judge pronounces sentence, and if it's execution, they march you out of the courtroom and they execute you. That's how it works. These aren't going to drag out, these trials, for months even. They're going to go days and weeks at the most. That's how it needs to go. Swift justice. And they are all going to get the justice they deserve. The great thing about what's coming in the world is that people are going to get what they deserve. If you've been a lying rat, you're going to get what you deserve. If you've been doing God's work, you're going to get what you deserve. And it's all going to play out for everybody to see. Let's see. Just make sure I don't have anything here. Okay, I got it. All right. David got kicked off. He's back. Yep, we really got to watch the economy and the swamp next week, guys. Yeah, it's Tuesday, guys. Tuesday's going to be the day that it probably, if it goes down, that's a prime day to watch. And then the news on there's a lot of talk between now and the 20th or so. A lot of people coming out with different scenarios. So the more they start talking about it, guys, the closer we are. Because they're talking about it in the mainstream media now. So they know it's coming. Several earthquakes in Tennessee. Unusual. Oh, and by the way, anything that's out of the ordinary, things like what Lisa's talking about with the earthquakes in Tennessee, especially if you see troop movements, report it immediately. If you see something like that, please message me or Lisa immediately, because that's important stuff. That I would expect to see. I think they're pretty close to where they're supposed to be now. So I don't think we're going to see where they're going hundreds of miles. But it'll be apparent if you see troop movements or equipment movements, military, please report it. I would expect to see right before martial law, last minute placements. So be on the lookout, guys. Susan, how you doing? Dale, what's up? Brother Dale. Thanks, David. Tessie made a friend in Texas. That's easy to do, Tessie, because people in Texas are pretty friendly. That's a good thing. Good job. Yeah. Nobody should be watching the mainstream right now, guys. All you're doing is playing into it, because they get advertising dollars based on how many people are watching. So why watch their garbage? Don't help them. Do your own research. Spend your time on the internet. I've watched zero TV, I think, in the last 3 weeks. I mean, like that 1 minute in the Super Bowl. Joy, how you doing? Larry, what's up? Chad, Rita. Lisa posted a bioweapons video on Facebook. It's talking about all this stuff. So check it out, guys. Great videos out. Tommy, what's up? Helen. Ask JC, Jimmy Cleveland. I'll find it for you. Okay, guys. That's all the questions. Remember, be positive out there. We can set the tone for this, right? If we see people starting to get scared, slow down. Back up a little bit. Focus more on the positive. And we really have to stress all the way through this, guys. Everything that's going to happen needs to happen for us to have a better world. We cannot continue down this path. That's not an option. With that option, we ended up with 500 million people in the world. We're making a right-hand turn here. We're turning to God. And it's going to change the world. It's changing right now. You know, most of these sheep don't see it. We'll be there to help them through it. That's our job. Okay, guys, remember, fear not. God and President Trump are 1,000% in control. See you tomorrow night at 5 Pacific. God bless. Darn it. Maybe. God.